Oh, lordy, lordy, the Antichrist himself is coming to Vancouver. Good God. John Walters, the White House drug czar from the Imperial United States, is arriving in Vancouver next Wednesday at the Sheraton Wall Center. And he will be talking to the Vancouver Board of Trade. And we're going to be there. In fact, this is 212 grams of pure block blonde Lebanese hash. We're going to slip that in his briefcase so that when he returns to the United States, he gets arrested right here in Vancouver at the U.S. Customs at the airport. And hopefully they throw the book at him and put him away for life. This stuff smells amazing. This is like, isn't that neat? It's like a solid little brick. It's 212 grams of Lebanese hash. It's wonderful that we can film these things right here in the public watching us in downtown Vancouver. And anyway, that's for John. When he arrives here, he's at the Sheraton Wall Center next Wednesday, November 20th in Vancouver, downtown. He'll be speaking theoretically from 12:15 to 2 o'clock. Tables of 8 are available for $500. I've already bought one, so we'll have 8 people there to keep him straight and honest, and I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't eventually get turfed out, but that's the price you have to pay when we're welcome the imperial lords from the dark country to the south of us. And so, we're going to have protesters outside of the wall center. We're going to have a table of 8 inside. And you should definitely take note of the information right on the front of our homepage there about John Walters' visit. Every Canadian and American within driving distance should come down to protest the drug czar. Because the Vancouver Board of Trade, that's a business organization. Now, marijuana is worth approximately $6 billion a year. And the Vancouver Board of Trade has actually invited the guy who'd like to destroy that. So I'm thinking to myself, imagine the last 10 years if we didn't receive all that money from marijuana. $6 billion this year, maybe only $5 or $4 billion in previous years. But over the last 10 years, that would be like $45 billion to the British Columbia economy we'd have never had, because that's what people like John Walters want. And here we have a business group of people welcoming an American imperial overlord who's responsible for the negation of rights throughout the United States, who's responsible for DE agents flooding Canada, for the propaganda wars, for everything evil that comes out of the White House regarding the drug war. John Walters is the man, and he's coming here, and we're going to protest it, and I make sure you're there. Wednesday, November 20th. I don't know, maybe that would be a fine block of hash to waste on John Walters, but hey, who knows? Just slip that in the little jacket as he goes down the aisle and have the dogs go crazy and then Anyway, in 2 days, there are elections in Vancouver, and I'm on the ballot for mayor, and we've had wonderful coverage in certain media. I've bought about $50,000 worth of ads. But the bottom line is I'll probably still get my usual 2 to 5%, because voting is a package deal, and a lot of people like to vote for the winner. And as it turns out, the guy who's going to win the election, a guy named Larry Campbell, is probably as progressive on the drug issue as one could ever reasonably expect from a modern-day politician that isn't talking like me. I've been advocating legalizing all these drugs so we can deal with the addiction problem, and you probably see my spiel about that. You know, if we legalize all these drugs and administer them by a doctor to heroin users, crack cocaine users, methamphetamine users, we can stop the crime on the streets, we can stop the prostitution, stop the property crime, the theft, the drug war, the turf wars that people do fighting over these drugs, and we can get them into rehab if we see them regularly enough and remind them that there's these facilities available. They'll get quantifiable amounts of drugs. They won't be scoring on the street. They'll be getting it free via the medical system inside. It would be great. And I've been advocating this in advertising, on print media, and all my all-candidates meetings. You know, there's actually an article in a magazine called The West Ender where I have a full-page ad, but they asked all the candidates in the election if they favored legalizing marijuana, and every single one of them, we're talking up to about 40 candidates that responded, and 34 say yes to legalizing marijuana, 3 said maybe, and 3 said no. So we're making headway, even if I don't get elected, and that's a certainty, by the way. But we have made a big impact on the community through their advertising, through the candidates' meetings. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm grateful I live in Vancouver, because only in Vancouver would you see, 35 out of 40 people say yes to legalizing marijuana. Would you see everybody agreeing we need safe injection sites for hardcore drug addicts, although that's really just a tiny, tiny step as far as I'm concerned. But nonetheless, Vancouver seems to be moving in a reasonable direction in regards to the drug war. My campaign's been, we've made lots of points, headway. I was on City TV last night being interviewed live with 2 of the other main candidates. I've been on the front page of the Georgia Straight and as a whack-a-mole, one of the 4 whack-a-moles for mayor. And I'm on the front page of the Terminal City News this week with a great and often hilarious interview with me. I urge you to pick that up, Terminal City News. And we just took possession of our Ibogaine Therapy House on the Sunshine Coast, a beautiful facility on the ocean where we'll be treating hardcore drug addicts and curing them. And it's just amazing stuff, this Ibogaine. I've seen miracles happen before my eyes when we treat people and they stop their physical addiction. They have these wonderful visualizations that last several hours to allow them to explore the psychological underpinnings of why they crave these drugs, why they are addicted, and I've seen some unbelievable results. Some people tell me, hey, it sounds too good to be true. It is true, and it is good. And if you, in fact, know of anybody with a hard drug addiction problem, have them get in touch with us, because we don't charge for this service. It's part and parcel of what the cannabis community has given to me through seed sales and seed purchases. They have given this money to me, and I'm using it, returning it back to the community, as we always do, to advance the cause of legalization, to advance the cause of humanity, really. I mean, the cannabis community can take great pride that the money they've sent me is actually curing hardcore drug addicts, as well as providing for all the other information that you see out there that advocates legalization. I'm sorry to the Americans who lost their ballot initiatives. I gave $25,000 Canadian to the Nevada initiative, and it failed by 60 to 40%. But you know what? The fact that 40% of the people said they would legalize 3 ounces of pot shows that Americans rock at the core. And that next time, for Nevada, we should just make it 1 ounce. A lot of people are saying, well, 3 ounces is an awful lot of drugs. Well, hey, make it 1 ounce legal in the next ballot initiative. I'm pretty sure we could get 50% to legalize 1 ounce of pot, and then we work on that each time. 1 ounce is still good. It still establishes that Nevada would have to sell the pot, grow the pot. I mean, it's totally subversive. 40% is a great start, and Americans should not be discouraged. It's going to be a rough 2 years with John Walters, Asa Hutchinson, George Bush in office, but hey, you know, things pass. You know, all things must pass, and George Bush will pass one day too, and I'm sure he's going to inflict plenty of damage on America and consequently Canada. But nonetheless, in fact, you know, they're arresting Canadians who just go over the border now just to get gas if you don't declare. You know, a lot of border towns in America and Canada are just like adjacent, like 100 yards from each other. People have casually been coming across for years and years and years, and now America's getting all heavy, right? There was this wonderful editorial cartoon, if you can allow me to express a little kind of Canadian smug nationalism maybe, an editorial cartoon we had in the papers here where it had a Canadian coming back from America, and there was barbed wire and big walled fences and machine gun turrets and everything, and you know, because Americans are threatening to ID Canadians as we come through, and there was in this cartoon there was an American customs agent saying, "Come on back, y'all," right after the car driving away with all the barbed wire and turret guns aimed at Canada, and I'm thinking, hey, it's not an undefended border any longer. Nonetheless, it's our job to liberate Canada and liberate America, and I keep staring at this beautiful blonde piece of hash, 212 grams. Anyway, things are going well here. Let's hope they keep up. If you know anybody hard drug users, get in touch with me. We'll cure them. If you want to check out some of the coverage, go to markformayor, my website.com. You can see a lot of the articles and press releases and what we've been doing and how we've been doing election night. And if you live in Vancouver, some of our viewers, don't forget to vote for me on Saturday, November 16th, just 2 days ahead, and keep the faith.